Hi, everyone. My name's Christine. I'm with Solva. I'm here today with my good friend and neighbor, Ana Ideias, who happens to be sitting in her house, which happens to be, what, 2 doors down from me? So this is like ultimate physical distancing. We're in our own houses, 2 doors down, having a chat via internet. So part of our process with this new reality, because for those watching, it is April 2020. We are in that physical distancing COVID pandemic, and we're all trying to find a new normal from working from home. And I wanted to chat with Ana about real estate, because Solva works with a lot of seniors, and we help people find retirement homes. We help people age at home. But for those people that, are still looking at retirement homes, because elder care is not going to stop with COVID or the flu or any kind of bug out there. People are asking, how do you sell your house right now? How do you deal with this? So I wanted to get Ana on the line, and here we go. So Ana, I've got some questions for you. First,
all right.
Tell us about yourself. Other than
right.
that, everybody knows now that you live 2 doors down from me.
I do live 2 doors down. So my name is Ana Ideias. I'm a real estate sales representative for Coldwell Banker, First Ottawa. Been in the business for 7 years and have been in Ottawa for 25 years. Time flies when you're having fun. I love the city and really enjoy what I do. Okay, did you want me to just continue, or are you going to ask me more questions?
How did you get into real estate?
Right. So I got into real estate because my life circumstances had changed at the time, and I wanted to do something that I could have a flexibility in my day, and also really help people. I do work a lot with seniors, as Christine had mentioned, and the reason why I do that is because I have a soft spot for that age group. I lived with my grandparents for a long time when I was little, and I don't know, I just really enjoy that demographic, and oftentimes they really need that extra support when dealing with real estate. So
yeah, they've lived in their house for like 40 years.
Yeah.
Right? So
yeah.
this is a massive emotional change that somebody's going through. We see it on our side, but yeah.
Absolutely.
You have an ASA designation, a master's, right?
Yes.
What does that mean?
ASA stands for Accredited Senior Agent, and I'm a master level because I've been doing this for a while. What that is a designation that I think when I took my designation, there were only 2% of agents in Canada that have this designation. The schooling just really helps us to better understand that demographic, how they think, how they work, best way to deal with them, and to be really cognizant and aware and respectful of how they do things, how they think, what are they concerned about, what are their fears. Technology is great. We're able to have this conversation today, but things move really quickly. And if you're an 85-year-old living alone and maybe not tech savvy, it can be pretty daunting, the whole process of moving. And so it just really gives us a deeper look into sort of working with that demographic to make sure that their needs are met. And we do it respectfully and taking into account what they need. And sometimes their needs are very, very specialized.
Yeah. And passion and all of that kind of stuff.
You are.
Yeah, we're getting a little bug back
sure.
here. Okay. Okay, so we said we're April 2020. We're in the midst of the pandemic. And what is the real estate market like right now? How are agents, buyers, sellers, how are they all adapting? Are people still selling houses? Are still buying houses? Oh, no.
Yeah. So we have been deemed an essential service by the government of Canada. So people do need to buy and sell. There are people in situations where it's necessary. So we are moving ahead, business as usual, but not really business as usual. So there are very, very strict guidelines in how we conduct business today. There are no open houses allowed, period, the end. So uh, those are not happening. So if right now who aren't by for whatever reason, we now as realtors are doing everything virtually. So no longer am I meeting with clients face to face. I am meeting with them through a Zoom call or FaceTime. We are doing virtual tours. So above and beyond the photos that you see online, we are now asking our photographers to do virtual tours, which are really kind of cool, actually. So it's all online, and you can Zoom from room to room virtually, so you can really see the house well. Agents are also doing, if they've got buyer clients, they're going into the house alone, doing a FaceTime call with their buyer clients who are in their homes and showing them the house that way. So we are adhering to the rules and being socially responsible. We are making sure that anyone who enters a home has not been out of the country for 14 days, all of that stuff. So we're really making sure that we're keeping our buyers and sellers and our agents safe, because we are still sort of in and out of houses. There are, I would say, less buyers out right now because everyone's staying home, but there are still people buying and there are still people selling, just not as crazy it was before COVID-19 hit. So, if you really need to sell your home, then sell your home. Will you get a huge bidding war like a month or two ago? Maybe, maybe not. Hard to say. Depends on the property. I listed one last week at noon, and it sold by 9 o'clock the same day. So
Yeah.
people are still looking, especially if they've already bought a home. They now need to sell their home.
Yeah.
People are divorcing, people are moving, people are moving for jobs. So there is still a need for real estate to be happening. We're just really doing it as virtually as possible.
So how, like, that home you sold, do you find people are getting below asking? I mean, I spoke to a senior that said, I don't want to undervalue my house and get less than the value is. So I'm just going to stay here because I'm too afraid that I'm going to lose, I don't know, $50,000 or something like that.
No, I don't think the market has not really, prices haven't come down. It's just a matter of we're all sort of waiting to see what happens when this is all over. But the prices have not gone down. That is not my observation. There may be fewer people out there. The bidding wars may be fewer, but the prices people are getting are still good prices. And still, in my opinion, my experience, still selling for over ask.
Nice.
Again, your strategy going in might differ a little bit because of the new circumstances we find ourselves in. But no, I wouldn't be worried about losing money selling now. Again, if you can wait.
Yeah.
It's less stressful, especially if you're living in the home still, because then when there's a showing, you have to leave the home, right? And you've got people coming into your home. And so if we're trying to keep ourselves safe, especially if you're of an age, if you can wait, I would wait. If you can't wait, then move forward.
So that's an interesting piece of information because, we work with a lot of seniors that are downsizing to, whether it be an apartment, a condo, even a retirement residence. So what I'm hearing is potentially the advice is, if you're going to move to, say, a retirement residence, then move before you list the house. Get out of the house so you don't, let's say, risk buyers coming in and be worried about, have that anxiety. Move before and then list.
Absolutely.
And just if you have to.
Yes, absolutely. That would be my recommendation, and even that was always my recommendation pre-COVID-19, because having a lot of buyers in, it's stressful, can be stressful depending on the client, right? The seller client, if they're older and they've got to
Yeah.
leave the house, and it can be stressful because you may have people coming in all day. So yeah, definitely during this time is move into the retirement facility first. That way you're safe. You're not having to deal with people coming into your home and touching doorknobs and
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And the funny stories are, um, and we had this whole plan about what we were going to talk about, but I'm going off now, as I normally do. It's my way. It's the Christine way. Okay. So
Yes.
funny story about real estate is I've met, or I've heard stories where you're trying to sell a senior's home, who they've lived in the house for 50 years, love it. It's like the carpet lawn, everything's pristine, beautiful home. And if I've heard stories of them being in the home while the buyers are coming through, and they're giving it all away. Like, this, look at my perfect furnace, come and check this out. And
Mm-hmm.
they're giving away too much information because they're so proud of it. But
Mm-hmm.
that's another reason to potentially not be there when
Yeah.
the buyers are coming in.
Yes. Yeah. That's a very good point. And the other reason would be that when buyers are coming through your house, if you're in your home, buyers always feel a little uncomfortable because they're not they don't feel free to just be having a conversation with each other about the home, um, and it's just nicer for the buyer if the seller's not there. And sometimes they have to be due to circumstances of
Yeah.
mobility or whatever, and that's fine. And when I have clients, seller clients who are in that position, I just say to them, stay home, but don't say much. I mean, if someone asks you a question, be honest, but yeah, typically just not be home is better for everyone.
So before
Hmm.
all of this, physical distancing and so on, was there any good strategies or tips that you could give to a senior, or anybody who's selling, really, in terms of getting their house ready to sell slash maybe do before they officially list it?
Yes. So now is a good time if you're at home and you've got nothing to do and you're thinking about selling, is having so my one of my jobs as an agent, when I'm dealing with sellers, is to go through the home. I can't do it now physically, but virtually I could, and have this perspective of a buyer. So when a buyer is looking through your home, they are counting in their head all the negative things, right? So they're thinking, oh, I got to paint that bright orange wall, and I've got to knock this wall down, and I've got to take that mirror. So you want to minimize all the negative things that a buyer might be thinking, right? So you want your home to be as move-in ready as possible. So things like decluttering is kind of the first thing we say, right? We want to make sure that the home looks as big as possible, as roomy as possible. So removing some knickknacks, that kind of thing, that's pretty common sense. Removing photos of yourself and your families, which for some people is really difficult because that's your home. But the reasoning behind that, the psychological reasoning behind that, is that when a buyer comes into your home, it's an emotional purchase, a home, right? We all understand that. So you want the buyer to walk through that home and see themselves living there, right? They can see themselves making a Sunday dinner, and they can see themselves playing with their kids in the backyard.
The
So
Christmas
if
tree
you've
up and stuff like
right, so
that.
if you've got all of your family pictures up, it's kind of a psychological block because this is someone else's home, it's not my home. So that's the reasoning we do that. Things like, if you've got really weird colors on your walls, maybe think about painting a very neutral color. Making sure that if you've got carpets, they're clean. Things that people sometimes will change. So sometimes I get asked a lot, should I redo my kitchen or should I redo my bathroom before I sell? And my answer is always no. I mean, it depends. It depends on a lot of things. But if you're going to renovate those big spaces for your own, like let's say you're going to move in five to 10 years and you want to renovate your kitchen and you're going to get some use out of it, absolutely have at her. That's a great idea because you're going to get some enjoyment out of it. But don't do it just to sell. right? Because the buyer's going to buy and do their own thing anyway. And that's fine. Things you can do, you can maybe, depending on how dated your kitchen is, you might change the handles. You might even paint the cabinetry if that's an option. So those are some of the things that I would recommend. And our job as a realtor is to kind of give you that perspective and that guidance. So what I'll say to clients is say, listen, as is, you can expect to get A to B, A to Z. This is what you should expect to get on the market today. If you change A, B, and C in your home and update these things, you can then expect to get this much. And then my client will decide whether or not they want to, and sometimes it's not even the money, it's time and energy and,
well, especially if you're a senior and you're like 80.
Yeah, you may not want to do all that kind of stuff. So then they decide, well, no, I don't want to do anything to the house. So that's fine. And that's okay.
But I wouldn't want a senior to be like, right now, I think.
No.
My head, I'm going, now's a great time to do some yard work. But
no.
If you're having a mobility issue, the last thing I do is start getting down into the ground, not being able to get back up.
Exactly. Yeah. Mostly is just sort of decluttering and having the home neat, and the decluttering part too, which is important, is so that people can sort of walk around the space, right? If you've got too much furniture, the room looks small and people can't sort of flow with the energy of the space. So that kind of thing. Yeah, and oftentimes people not quite sure what to do. So always a phone call to a realtor for some guidance is always a good thing to get.
We always tell people, because there's so many realtors, I'm not even sure what that number is now. What is it, 3,500 or?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
We always tell people, talk to more than one. I know that so-and-so recommended so-and-so, but talk to more than one. Do your due diligence. Just like if you were to go buy a house,
absolutely,
you're going to look at more than one. Talk to more than one and feel them out. That's something that we always mention to people, because I do think, and you might be able to better explain, talk about this, is I do think that it's the right fit, right? So you need to be comfortable. This is a large transaction of money. This is a big emotional change, and you need to feel comfortable with whom you're working with, that you can like implicitly trust them.
Yeah.
Especially a senior.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, always, regardless of your age, but especially if you're a certain age, you really need to make sure the person who you're working with really has your best interest at heart, right? So if you ever feel, and I say to people all the time, if you ever feel rushed or pushed or in any way made to feel uncomfortable, then that's sort of a warning sign. When I work with clients, sometimes I work with them for 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, like until they're ready, right? So it's a process, and people need time to get through that process. Sometimes a spouse has passed away in the home, right? I get to this all the time where they're ready to move, they want to move, but they feel stuck for some reason, right? And so it's having those conversations with people and really helping them move at their pace. I'm not here for me, I'm here for my clients. So if it takes them a year or two to sort of really get ready and do what they need to do to be ready, then that's what it takes. So really make sure you feel comfortable with someone and trust that they have your back, that they're there for the right reasons.
Well, it's a relationship, right?
So, absolutely. Yeah. And there's a lot of trust, right? Like this is why sometimes I don't know if everyone likes working with this demographic, because you need to be really patient and understanding and know that it takes time to build trust.
Yeah.
Like it really does. I
agree. I mean, there's a whole lot of psychology going on behind the scenes. Like I teach retirement communities management at Algonquin, and we have a whole section on emotional intelligence for seniors, human behavioral intelligence. They're going through so many emotions, and it's not just the memories of the house. It's like the loss of control, because the house is more than just a house. It's like a level of independence. It represents independence. It represents freedom. It represents confidence. And a lot of people, I think, don't understand. And it's fun. My class this year, they're a lot younger folk, right? So they don't quite understand that emotional tie that, you know, when you purchased a house in the 40s or the 50s, what that was like back then and what kind of achievement it was like.
Oh my goodness, absolutely.
And so when you're finally leaving or making that big decision to make a change or transition, like, you know, even to go to a retirement residence, people are like, well, okay, so your first day, let's go to the dining room. You know how intimidating that would be if you've lived in the same street, same house, known the same people, and now all of a sudden you rip that Band-Aid off, it's all changed. It's like you're a new kid. It's your first day of school.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so, and the other thing that I really am very aware and cognizant and respectful of, and I've noticed this over the years, and my parents are a great example. So when my parents were downsizing, my mom was all stressed out, and of course, and she's like, what am I going to do with my 40 fold-up chairs?
Wow.
I said, Mom, why do you need 40 fold-up chairs? And she said, well, what if I have 40 people over for dinner? I said, but Mom, you're 80. You probably shouldn't be having, again.
Has she ever had 40 people over for dinner?
Yes, big Portuguese family. So, and my dad makes wine, right? So it's not just moving, and I say this to people all the time, it's not just moving from a bigger house to a smaller space. It's now it's a lifestyle change, which people don't get, right? So now my mom, who loves to cook and have 40 people over dinner, can't. And my dad, who wants to make wine, can't. They're in a condo now. So unless he goes somewhere else to do it, where does he put his stuff? Men don't have workshops suddenly. Women's kitchens are like, so again, it's a lifestyle change. And that's why it's such a difficult process for people, that we who are younger, who aren't there mentally yet, can't sometimes understand.
Yeah.
Right.
But we haven't established 40 years of routine.
Right. Yes, exactly.
And that's the part that I think the younger people, this generation, don't quite have that empathy with, perhaps.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to be cooking food for 40 people in 40 fold-up chairs. I hear all sorts of, you know, my favorite thing about working with, and I've worked with seniors my entire life, is like the stories, you know,
yeah, of course.
So many amazing stories.
Absolutely.
So we can go on and on and on and on.
Yes.
We'll one day have to do this in person.
Yes, absolutely.
But before we go, I have to make a note about the pictures behind you, because they're not paintings. They're actually your own photographs.
They are.
I know that. Like, I actually know you take amazing photographs. You have like this eye.
Thank you.
But like I'm always surprised, because especially the doorknob on this on the other side, it looks like a piece of art, and it's not an actual picture. So
it was an old rusted door I ran into at some farm somewhere.
You're a multi-talented lady, Ana Ideias.
Well, thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna close it off and say goodbye. Actually, before we do, how do people get a hold of you if they wanted to chat about any future real estate, whether it be during this time, whether it be next year, whether it be 5 years from now? How do they get in touch with you?
Okay, so my phone number is 613-883-3650. You can reach me, find me on my website at anaideas.com. That's ANAIDEIAS.com. And my email is anna@anaideas.com. Or they can find me on Facebook and all sorts of places. Or contact you and you can contact them.
That's true. You can contact me and I'll introduce you to Anna. And if somebody was interested in buying any of those amazing pieces of art behind you, do you sell them?
I do. Yes. I also have a website, Ana Ideias Photography.
Nice.
.ca. So yeah.
Okay.
Love to hear you either way, from you either way.
So we will chat with you again on the street and see you guys all later.
Thank you. Thanks, Christine.
Bye.
Bye.